If they were to make The Chopped of Us Part 3, what would it even be about? This would obviously all be speculation considering the fact that we're not even 4 episodes into The Last of Us Season 2 yet. And the way that it's looking, this season is not even going to be able to encompass the entire events of the second game, which means that we will definitely be seeing at the very least another season of all these events playing out from The Last of Us Part 2. And I can only imagine how chopped the rest of Season 2 is going to be. But before we get into The Chopped of Us Part 3 and what I personally believe the plot of the game is going to be about based upon the information we have so far, my name is SunGod. Make yourself at home at the channel by leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel with notifications on so you can get notified the next time I upload. Also, consider joining the family by joining our Discord. The link is in the description. Now, when it comes to the Chopped of Us aspect of this video, I definitely want to say that I am not of the personal belief that The Last of Us HBO is completely chopped. And I do see all the hate that it gets on the internet, and I definitely feel like some of it is misplaced, but a lot of it definitely does have merit, especially when it comes to the character build accuracy that people are complaining about, with not even just Ellie, even with characters like Abby and Tommy. Some people are complaining about the fact that they look nothing like their video game counterparts, and obviously they're not going to be able to do a one-to-one complete identical comparison between actors unless they straight up use the people who did the character models for the game. And if for whatever reason that can't work out, we just have to get what we can get for that, and I completely respect it. But what I cannot respect is the plot and narrative of The Last of Us Season 2 so far, and how it's chosen to remain faithful to the events of The Last of Us Part 2 video game, because we all already know how polarizing the events of that game are. And while I completely understand that it was just meant to be a revenge plot, I definitely don't understand the narrative direct or the logic behind that decision. And you've definitely already heard me drone on about this in several other videos, but just to complete my thoughts on it a bit, I'll definitely say that I totally get that it was just supposed to be some sort of like Kill Bill revenge tale, but overall and with a meaning that shows you that the revenge is never really what you want to go for in that. And while that's completely great and all, I definitely don't want to sit here for 2 seasons of this on HBO, which means it's going to span over the course of the next 2 to 4 years just to get that same droned out lesson that I got all the way back in 2020 for the first time, and it was just as irritating then as it is now. Yet despite that, I'm completely willing to take in any form of The Last of Us content I can get, because I am in love with this universe and the characters, and I've been following them for literally half of the amount of time I've been alive. I'll be 24 in the next 3 weeks, and this game came out when I was 12, so that literally means that I've been a fan of Last of Us for half the amount of time that I've been on this earth. So if there's anybody who's qualified to speak on it, it definitely should be me, because I have a lot of good things to say. I love the way they handle the infected in the second game, especially with the introduction of the stalkers as well as the shamblers that really add to the universe of The Last of Us by making the infected environment specific. And it goes to show you that when they actually do make The Chopped of Us Part 3, they will definitely show us new zombie types based upon the areas we travel to. I also feel like the narrative is definitely going to encompass the fireflies that currently exist in Santa Barbara, which means that at some point during The Last of Us Part 3, we will be running into Abby and Lee. But I believe this time around, they definitely will be friends and companions instead of enemies of Ellie and the people from Jackson at the very least. I watched a video on this topic the other day, and the person that created it stated that they believe that The Last of Us Part 3 should be a game that is about redemption, that sees Ellie become a hero in the story instead of a toxic figure that definitely is too traumatized to even understand. And while I definitely agree that that needs to happen, and we definitely need to see a full circle transformation of Ellie turning into her former self, I also really believe that the main purpose of The Last of Us Part 3 has to encompass what the first game itself actually is about. And if you remember correctly, The Last of Us Part 1 is simply a tale about Joel trying to get Ellie to the fireflies because of the fact that she is immune to the zombie virus, which means that the third game should at the very least start with some major group or organization revealing to the world in some capacity that Ellie is immune, and making Ellie like a most wanted person in the universe, which would make sense because the same way the fireflies wanted the cure so they could mass produce it and save millions of lives, other people will be perceiving themselves to be capable of using the cure in the same way, which means that Ellie would be the #1 most wanted from every single community, whether it be the Seraphites, the WLF, the Rattlers, or anyone else, once they are aware of her immunity. And we should have to see Ellie make some sort of choice around her immunity and whether or not she is going to do what she claims she wanted to do so badly in the second part of the game, be a martyr and exist as a sacrifice for the world, and have her death lead to a cure that ultimately saves billions of lives. I definitely agree that that should happen, and I also feel like in terms of the major deaths that we see in this game, the only one I could think that would be logical is Tommy. It just feels like Tommy has reached his narrative conclusion in The Last of Us universe, and we should definitely start the game playing as him in some capacity. But I also wouldn't be mad if we started the game playing as Dina, and Dina ends up being the one to get unalived, because she is not down for the team and she left Ellie. And you can say whatever whatever you want to defend her, but she's not solid, yo. I would have held it down for my girl. She was supposed to stay in the crib, watch the baby, and keep her mouth shut. That was all she had to do. I wouldn't mind if Dina ends up getting got. But please let the game end on a happy note, because I am so sick and tired of The Last of Us having absolutely tragic endings. The first one was beautifully tragic in a way that was definitely sad, sort of depressing, but also made you hopeful in the sense that their relationship could still prosper from that moment. But The Last of Us Part 2 just left me feeling with this sense of existential dread that made me feel like I didn't ever really want to replay it again. Honestly, I was very apprehensive to even wanting to play the game in the first place. So with The Last of Us Part 3 being the conclusion to the trilogy, I definitely feel like it should get to have a happy ending. But ultimately, those are my thoughts on the subject matter, and I just miss Joel, man. Definitely let me know what you want to see in the Chopped of Us Part 3 in the comments below. Make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified the next time I upload. Also, consider supporting the channel by joining the Discord and buying some Sun God merch on my website. The links to both of them are in the description. Thank you for watching. I love and appreciate you all. Sun God signing off.
I come in clutch like a genie. Don't talk unless you need me. You talk too much, you need it. All of my bitches look like models, she in love with me. When we link, it's flashing lights and cameras, got a blam.